Stacey Purslow with the New Hampshire Farm to School program. Today's webinar is about the new New Hampshire Harvest of the Month program that is being developed. If you are familiar with the program, have used it, you know it features a local food or food each month, along with posters, recipes, and activities. So it's still going to be that format, but materials will be more culturally inclusive, and each month will feature 2 to 3 food items. So there's some flexibility in what you would like to highlight each month in your meal programs. So the project began earlier this year. We have some grant funding to support the development of the new program materials. We have a number of project partners, including New Hampshire Hunger Solutions, the New Hampshire Food Bank, UNH Extension, and the UNH Department of Education, Grow Nashua, and Food Connects. Let's see, project partners help decide on food items to feature, the design of program materials, type of program materials, and materials that would support other institutions, or materials that would support other programs being able to adopt this program. So we are building in more cultural diversity to recognize refugee and immigrant populations that call New Hampshire home, to celebrate their food and educate teachers, students, and others about different about the different cultures. So doing this through food is one way to bridge the diversity and the increasing diversity that we have in the state. So I wanted to provide some background on, on refugees in the state, just so you can get a better understanding of how they came to live in New Hampshire. So the United States Department of State has a refugee admissions program that started in 1980. And that was to recognize that there's a lot of turmoil in the world. I mean, just watch the news tonight. You see what's going on in the Ukraine and in Israel. And with a belief, not just the United States, that there could be better opportunities if a person could no longer live where they were born and raised because of things that were happening in their country. And it could be political, it could be war, it could be a natural disaster, that they can no longer live where they are. So the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program started in 1980. Since then, we have brought in over 3.1 million refugees into the United States. Last year, so ending fiscal year 23, which ended September 30th, the U.S. was set to bring in 125,000 people from around the world. And you can see where in the world most of the people were going to be coming from. This is to show you on the left, the chart on the left that has a sum of, so this is a different fiscal year 21, what countries people came from. And this is not the whole list. That was a longer list. It just didn't fit on the screen. So there's at least another dozen countries that people are coming from. So where they came from and how many. And the table on the right shows the other countries in the world that also accept refugees. So United States is by far brings in the most, but a lot of countries participate in this program to try to relocate people so they can get back to living a life that was disrupted for various reasons. In New Hampshire, so this is from October 2021 to September 2022, we brought in 93 refugees were located here. Mostly went to Manchester, Nashua, and the Concord areas. because these cities have the services needed to help refugees get going with their new lives. It doesn't mean they have to stay there. It's just where they start their new lives in New Hampshire. And so in this year, Democrat Republic of Congo, we had 54 people, Sudan 27, and you can see Iraq 6, Burundi 2, El Salvador, Eritrea, and Moldova also represented here. This Department of State doesn't have information yet for this past fiscal year. So I'm not sure when they'll have it available, but it's you can go to the Department of State website and track it down. So the program materials are also going to provide some stories. And we've got a few of those stories already, and this is one of them. This is Hema. She's from Nepal. She but was born in Bhutan. So because of some actions that the Bhutanese government took, so people from Nepal were sent over to Bhutan to help build the agriculture community there. But then Bhutan didn't want to recognize them as being Bhutanese people and living there. They didn't want to recognize the Nepali culture. So they didn't grant citizenship to these people, even though they were relocated there to help the country. And then when they wanted to go back to Bhutan, Bhutan didn't recognize them as being Bhutanese either. So these are like people without a country. And Hema and her daughter were living in a refugee camp in a tent, like you see on TV, refugee camps, living in a tent. I mean, how do you even start to stabilize a life if you're living in a tent? So she decided to apply to the refugee relocation program. And so she came over here with her daughter. She ended up in New Hampshire, living with an aunt and uncle who are already here. So she has a stable life now. She has a job. She has an apartment. Her daughter is a freshman at Concord High School. And I met her at the Sycamore Community Garden that's in Concord, right near the New Hampshire Technical Institute campus. There's a big community garden. I don't know, there must be 100 plots there. So a lot of refugee and immigrants have gardens there where they can grow the food, some of the food that they ate in their home countries. So Hema's growing hot chilies because hot chilies feature a lot in Bhutanese cuisine. Pumpkins and squashes, cucumbers, long beans, marigolds, mustard greens, tomatoes. So she's been gardening there for about 4 years. So growing and eating these foods help her and her daughter remain connected to their culture and traditional diets. So she is making her way in this country. She's got some support from an aunt and uncle, and her daughter, who's been here for a while. I don't know exactly how long they've been here, but at least 6 years. And her daughter's been in the Concord School District for that many years and has plans to go to college. And her daughter can be very helpful to her as they get their new life going. So there'll be some stories like that, other stories associated with the materials. So this is a list of the countries. It's not a complete list, but this is the countries that are most represented in the New Hampshire population now. So Democratic Republic of Congo, Bhutan and Nepal, Indonesia. Somersworth, New Hampshire has a big Indonesian community, not necessarily refugees, but immigrants. Somalia, Sudan, Burma, also known as Myanmar, India, Guatemala, Afghanistan, and Ukraine. And I expect we'll be seeing more refugees from Ukraine coming to the United States because of what's happening there. The new calendar items, as you can see on the right, we've added things. So currently January is parsnips, but now it's parsnips, dry beans, pulses and legumes. February is carrots and beef. We were sprinkling in the proteins as well. We want to support our protein producers in the state. So adding proteins to the calendar, we can do that. Some things we've removed. So we've taken off a few things. So February used to be cabbage. We've removed cabbage and added carrots and beef. March had rutabagas. We took the rutabagas off. September was broccoli and cauliflower, and we've removed that. So we've added things, we've took off things. Some things are the same. So we're working towards getting all of these materials together. So these are some of the posters. As you can see, October is now seafood, kale, and apples. It was originally only kale. And so we've added apples and seafood. October is National Seafood Month, so that's why seafood is in October. And May, chicken and eggs. So each month we'll have a beautiful new poster option. It will have an at-home resource. So this is for apples. So this resource, you could link to it in an e-newsletter, put it out, link it to your school nutrition webpage on the school website if you wanted to, print it out. So it'll have storage and buying tips, cooking tips, some information about apples, some recipes, some kid-friendly eating tips. So it's not dissimilar from what we already have. It's just for new items, as well as trying to, again, bring in some more cultural diversity. So like this recipe is for Afghan apple jam. Seafood, same thing, buying and storage tips, cooking tips. We added in a little glossary to seafood, just so there was some clarity about some of the language we were using, some of the materials. Information about seafood and information about seafood in other countries, and recipes. So there's 2 or 3 recipes for each food item. And then the website has links to more recipes. And then the classroom, the harvest lessons. So the other program had harvest lessons, and we will continue to have harvest lessons, which are more culturally appropriate. So weaving in the different countries and cultures into the classroom activities. They're not all done yet. I will say that I'm working with the UNH Education Department students. So these are students who are studying to be teachers that are putting together the classroom materials. So it's a win-win. They get to, practice and create curriculum. And then we get to benefit from it. So again, I have the lessons plans, recommended books to read, some of a repeat of kid-friendly eating tips and history and cultural connections. And so each food item will have a lesson plan associated with it. They're not all developed, but they're on their way. Okay. So one of the things we're going to have is some videos, recipe making videos. We're going to have at least one for each month. And we have one that was contributed by one of our project partners, Grow Nashua. So I'm not going to play the whole video, but this one is in Spanish. Hopefully you can hear it.
Hola, les vamos a preparar un ayote con leche. Vamos a utilizar ayote tierno, pimentones verde, amarillo, rojo, ajo, cebolla, cilantro. Vamos a utilizar leche, un poquito de aceite de oliva. Vamos a utilizar sal al gusto. Vamos a proceder a picar todos los ingredientes. Una vez que ya hemos terminado de picar todos los ingredientes, vamos a proceder a cocinarlos. Vamos a proceder ya a cocinar los ingredientes. Entonces vamos a incorporar un poquito de aceite de oliva y vamos a incorporar estos ingredientes primero para sofreírlos. Cuando ya ellos estén un poquito como cocinados, le vamos a incorporar el ayote ya picadito. Ya una vez que los ingredientes estén cocinados, como pueden ver acá, lo mezclamos y vamos a dejarlo acá.
So we're going to feature a few short videos in a couple of different languages. This one isn't loading yet. So this one will feature the recipe at the end in Spanish and English. So that's going to be another resource available. And then let's move on to the website itself. So we're currently building out the web pages for the program. It's not live yet. So if you go to the New Hampshire Farm to School website and try to find it, it's not going to be there yet. It'll take you to the old materials. But so this is a preview of the homepage of the new materials. And we also wanted to get some feedback from you all on what you think about it, if you've used the program in the past. Is it user-friendly? What might make it more user-friendly? That kind of thing. So here's what it looks like, the homepage right now. So you can click on, so we'll go to October. And it'll bring you to October. So there's the full October poster. And then if you scroll down, you can go to each individual food item. And you can just, if you wanted to print out just the apple poster, you could just do apples, you could just do seafood, you could just do kale, or you could do a poster with all 3 ingredients on it. And then you could, the home kit, which I did show you for apples, books, videos, posters. Scroll down further to find the lesson plans. Recipes for home cooking, recipes for school and institutional food service, more information and where to find apples in New Hampshire. So right now, that's how we have the information organized. So I just wanted to get anybody who wanted to ask questions or give feedback. We'd love to hear it. We want to make it as user-friendly as possible. So you can just do the chat or come off mute, whatever you want to do. Can you monitor the chat, Colleen? I can't see it at the moment.
Yes, nobody's in there now, but I'm going to share the link to the page too. So if you want to scroll on your own and play around, that's great too.
Hi, Stacey. It's Donna Reynolds.
Hi, Donna.
Hi. So when will this all be ready for us to use? Did I miss that?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to Colleen. We were just talking about that this morning, about when we were going to switch it over. And I'll let Colleen say, but I think we can do it pretty fast, even though we don't have all the classroom components, the, harvest lessons for the classroom ready. A lot of the other stuff is ready.
Okay. I love the cultural piece. This will really tie in great with another, with a grant that we have.
Yes,
Quick timing.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Colleen. I work with Stacey at New Hampshire Farm to School, and I've been working with her closely on these materials, and I'm really excited that they are on their very way of being put out into the world. But and maybe you all can tell me, but I've relinked our menu. So if you go to newhampshirefarmtoschool.org and then you go to the resources menu where it says harvest calendars, and then the drop down for that, there is a New Hampshire Harvest of the Month menu item. If you click on that, it should bring you to that original page that Stacey showed you. It should be this page. Maybe the change hasn't gone over on the other side yet, as they say, but that it should link you to that page.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Yep.
Excellent.
Thanks.
So, and Cassandra asked a kind of a similar question in the chat, but the old New Hampshire Harvest of the Month materials, I didn't delete the page. It still exists on our website. It's just not going to be easy for you all to find. So as we continue to populate all these little squares with links to their own individual month pages and their own individual food item pages, we can continue to send you the old materials as you need them if you're still using them actively, or we'll keep updating you on when this page gets populated. So we're going to work in order from October on now, since we're launching with October today, I guess, officially. So we'll be working November, December, and so on and so forth. And to Cassandra's point, Stacey, she's asking about the New Hampshire Harvest of the Month.org website and if that's going to stay live.
No, we actually don't have control over that website. That was created a number of years ago with another partner who is no longer around. And so I don't actually have any way to get rid of that website. But it's not been kept up to date for a number of years. And I don't even know if it's still functioning. It's out there, but it's not functioning. So I've been directing people to the New Hampshire Farm to School website to access materials.
Okay, she said it's functioning currently. I thought so too. So I think, I think it's something, we could probably look into and hopefully figure that out. But as Stacey said, we're pointing people towards these new materials, and that's going to kind of try and be the goal. As in, it's actually, it's not working. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will look into that a little more and see if I can scruff up some. It was last week. Okay, interesting. A mystery is afoot.
Well, nobody's been paying to maintain that website, so at some point it won't be there. The domain name will not be paid for.
Yes. Is it Jocko or Yaka? I don't want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Asked if there's Lisa. Okay. Apologies.
That's okay.
She is asking about recipes in other languages.
Yes. So the plan is to at some point get some of the materials translated into a number of different languages. I don't know that we're going to do all the materials, but we could do some of the recipes. And I was thinking the take home, like the one that you might send home to families, would be in different languages. But that's another piece, like the next step is to work on getting some translated materials done.
And a follow-up question is about recipes. Will you be looking for recipes from families in our districts?
Sure.
Yeah.
The thing about this is it's pretty flexible, we can add recipes very easily. So if somebody wants to contribute a recipe to this, we're happy to include it.
Mm-hmm. If you, Stacey, if you want to click on the apple jam recipe and it'll open up so this template that we created, just kind of visually goes along with the other materials. I don't know why it's not loading for some reason, but
I'll do it in a second.
there he goes. We can put any recipe into that template and kind of have a nice thing for you all to send home with students or with youth in programs that you work with, or whoever and whatever would like to have a recipe like that. And it could be something that is a community-based recipe from you, like you're saying, from families in your districts. That would be amazing use of this template.
Here, I had to download it in order to see it.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's that design's like easy printout. It's 8.5 by 11. It's nothing crazy sized. And yeah, a great little template to be used in that way.
Yeah, and if there are recipes like that you're using in school food service that fit in with the harvest of the month and you want to share it, we're happy to host them on the website as well.
Definitely.
So the recipes for school and institutional food service, I scoured various resources like the USDA and some other ones to find the ones that fit school food service. So this is from the California Department of Education because they have a pretty good database of school food service recipes. So these are ready for schools. I mean, we have other institutions that want to use this program, like hospitals and higher education, and they can certainly also use these recipes, but these ones are specific they meet school nutrition requirements. And then we're also going to have some extra resources like where to find apples in New Hampshire, other what do we have for seafood?
Oh, the videos from
Yep.
New England and Fishermen's. That's a cool one.
Finding seafood in New Hampshire. There's a couple of places you can find it. We also have some videos. So meet the New England fishermen. So there's a new organization called the New England Young Fishermen's Alliance. It's to help get young fishermen ready to be fishermen in New Hampshire and New England. Our New Hampshire fishing fleet is small and getting smaller by the day. And so this organization was formed to try to basically save the industry and engage young fishermen and give them tools and resources for them to be successful. So there's some video links so you can hear from the New England, mostly the New Hampshire fishermen. So that's a resource to share with students or just learn for yourself. So if there's, again, it's pretty flexible program. If there are, again, recipes that you would like to share, if there's, information that you would like to be here that would be helpful in your food service program, let us know. We can probably put something in here. So we're it's a flexible thing and we want to keep it flexible and want it to fit and all your needs so you all use it. And I think if we have any other questions, any other feedback you want to give about the program, have you used it in the past? Love to get any feedback you want to provide that would help improve it.
Yeah, I'd just love to know for folks who have used it before or even not, but if there are things that you wished you'd had in the past that we could now have the opportunity to create or better or be more clear. It's hard for Stacey and I because we're not always out there doing these activities or using these materials as you all are. So we'd want to make it as useful to you as possible.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We will, as again, Colleen said, the website and materials are live now, even though not all of the information is there. October should be good to go, even though we got a week left. And November and December materials, most everything will be available, and it's mostly the classroom component that isn't quite finished yet. But for school food service, it's ready to go. So feel free to reach out anytime with questions or suggestions, and whatever hard copy posters available. We are going to be printing some. I've got a little bit of grant funding to support printing some of these posters, and some of you, if you had the old posters that were printed on that indestructible material, I've got some money to print some of those again. But everything you can download, print it at school too, if you are lucky enough to be able to do that. So everything should be able to be printed at school. So we will have some hard copies available, but mostly it's going to be downloaded on your end. But maybe, Jacob, you could get the Abbey group to spring for making copies for all your schools.
I will try. It's JASA though.
JASA, sorry.
It's okay. JASA, it's all right. But I would love them. I love the artwork on them. They're beautiful. And we keep them hanging around the kitchens years after.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
Yep. Well, now you'll have new pretty ones. So. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time this afternoon. And again, if there's any support that you need in the future or have recommendations for the program, don't hesitate to reach out.